Hi, it's Jeannie Lindsay from 2 to 3 Relationship Counselling in Crow's Nest, and I have a very interesting topic to talk to you about, which I often hear within my family, within friends, and also within my room. And it's very much, I married you for breakfast and dinner. And the scenario is, what happens when your partner invites themselves to all three meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner? And what happens to the relationship when that actually happens? And this falls right under, I remember, just to bring in a personal story quickly, when my dad retired. My mum had her own life, she'd raised children, dad was financially out working, so they had their separate roles. And when my dad retired, was my mum where I first heard this, was I married you for breakfast and dinner. Because there was an expectation that suddenly when he was available, that they would do everything together. And mum had her own life, dad had had his own life, and now they were trying to put it all together. But it was more dad was trying to come into mum's world. So if you look at that now in the current times, it's a very interesting situation, because people before COVID were very much either at home and at work. Now we have the situation where people are working from home. So we do have this playing out much more than just when people retire, but actually on the everyday. And that's where we have people popping out and wanting to have the expectation, let's have lunch together, or always there. So when someone is always there, we're not getting that balance of separateness and togetherness. And we can organize, and for a healthy, thriving, striving, successful relationship, you need to have your own space, and you also need to have time together. So it's that continuum of togetherness and separateness, togetherness and separateness. And so when we look at that, it can often cause confusion in relationships, because people, when they're popping out in their lunch break, but their partner thinks they're at work, those boundaries then become quite confused for them, because they go, I don't know if you're working or not working. I come up to you and you say I'm working, and then the next minute the person who's working steps forward and says, how about we sit down and we have a cup of tea or we have lunch together? But there's no sort of clear boundaries as to where do we stand. So I often hear couples quite confused about when their partner is at home. Are they working or are they not working? But also when they have then set boundaries potentially, I think what I also hear is we've just got too much time together. And when we have too much time together, people start to feel crowded. And then that also brings up, do I need to sacrifice myself to be able to fit in? So then that brings up, how do we do our emotional experience? Do I put myself aside because I don't want to disappoint them? And then that goes into the pleasing, giving up self. And so then what then often happens is, if we go down that route, is that the resentments start to build. So this is actually often a conversation people need to have with each other as to if they are starting to feel too much togetherness or crowding or resentments. You need to have that conversation to be able to set up the boundaries that I love you being home, but can we set up what that's going to look like? And also, do you want to have lunch together every day, or do you actually want to really thrive on actually breakfast and dinner, do your own things, have your own separateness, have your own interest, your own hobbies, your own work, and then at the end of the day, come back together again and have that togetherness where you're sharing your differences, your separateness, and that's then coming back together and having the togetherness. So I think it's actually a really interesting thing. I always laughed when I heard my mum say it about my dad, but I'm actually seeing it play out very regularly in my rooms at the moment with my clients, saying there's just too much togetherness and they're there all the time, breakfast, lunch and dinner. So have a think about what is playing out in your relationship, and if that's a conversation that you need to have to be able to create that separateness and togetherness. As I say, we don't want all togetherness. We don't want all separateness. We want to be able to have that lovely flowing balance between the two. We don't want too much of one or the other. So I hope you found this helpful. Please give me a call on 0412 88 2345. I do put up many videos. So on YouTube there are lots, or you can go to my website From 2 to 3 Relationship Counseling, and there is a link there also over to YouTube which will take you over. Some are on the live website on YouTube, and some are under just videos. So there is a combination of the two. There's just been a shift in the computer recently and where they're storing them. So have a great day and reflect on this, because it really does play a part in the dynamics of the relationship. And have a fabulous day. Take care.